The National Driving Test. 25 questions to test your driving skill and judgment.
Hello, I'm Jack McGaugh. Let's say someone handed you a gambling chip and told you it stood for life or death. Invited you to toss it on a table and he'll give the wheel a spin. Well, you'd be crazy to do it, of course. But driving is a little like that. Driving a car is more than knowing where to put the key and how to steer. It's a whole range of skills that we call competence. And tonight, we're going to test you for those skills. So 14 years after the first national driving test, we're back for another look.
A busy Canadian highway. This woman is a new driver. Although she just turned 30, she decided to get her license because her business was expanding. Right now, she's late for an appointment.
Hi, Kathy. Yeah, I'm a little late. Okay, yeah, alrighty, see you soon.
Sadly, she's not going to make that appointment. Another new driver who got his license the normal way. He answered a few questions and performed a number of simple driving tests, but not one of them on the highway. A car can feel like a cocoon, wrapping you in an envelope of security. But glass and metal hurtling at high speed doesn't make shells of safety. Forget that. At your peril. Six million more drivers have joined our traffic in the last 14 years. In a single year, 250,000 of us will be injured in accidents like this. This year, 3,500 Canadians will die in crashes. Instead of a living person, there'll be a statistic. If such a violent phenomenon can have a face, this is that face.
Can you open your eyes for me?
Car crashes account for about 40% of all deaths among our 16 to 19-year-olds. In a typical year, about 1,200 young people are killed. Now, surely something is wrong. Or maybe it's just too easy to get a license. Should it be tougher? We think the answer to that is a clear yes. But you'll get a chance to put your opinion on the record at the end of this hour. Should new drivers be allowed to drive anywhere, anytime? Or should we keep them off the roads at night? Should we keep them off the expressways?
Meet two volunteers who are going to answer some test questions. We'll follow their progress on the road.
Hi, I'm Karuna Sarup Munshi, and I'm a new driver in Canada.
My name's Adam Tabor. I'm a fairly new driver, I guess. I've been driving for around 2 months with a license.
Supervising the test, Young Drivers of Canada, one of the country's top-rated driving schools. They've helped us prepare the questions we're going to ask. There are 25 of them, and like most tests, this one is out of 100. See how you rate as a defensive driver.
Question 1. How experienced are you? A new driver with less than 1 year on the road, or are you an old hand? If you're a new driver, no points. If you're experienced, take 2 points.
The statistics spell it out. The more experience you have, the less likely you are to have an accident.
Question 2. What sex are you? Female or male? Males score 0 points. Females 2.
Female drivers have fewer collisions. Males take more risks. But now let's get out on the road. You're parked at a curb and you want to get to the driver's seat.
Question 3. Do you approach the door from around the rear or from around the front of the car? The correct answer is B. Score 2 points.
Approach from the front so you can see oncoming traffic.
Question 4. How often do you wear your seatbelt? Always, sometimes, rarely. 5 points for A, 1 point for B, and 0 for C.
Well, there's no argument here. Seatbelts save lives.
Question 5. Before you pull away from the curb, what is the last thing you should do? Signal, check your blind spot, or glance in the rearview mirror? score 0 if you answered A or C, and 3 points if you answered B.
No matter how well you've adjusted your mirrors, a car could be moving into your blind spot. When they reach our highways, new drivers enter a kind of imbecile Olympics where competition rages. Some days, the only common denominator on our freeways seems to be madness. Yet many new drivers join the increasingly hectic world of traffic with little more than a smattering of rules or skills. Now, what motivates drivers like this? But more importantly, what can we do to protect ourselves from them?
Next, something menacing awaits you and our volunteer drivers.
How to protect yourself at an intersection.
The National Driving Test is brought to you by Ford of Canada. Quality is job one. It's working. And by Zurich of Canada. We'll be there when you need us.
When you drive, you're careful to protect yourself and the ones you love. That's why complete auto insurance coverage from Zurich Insurance is so important. We've been insuring Canadians since 1923. Today, Zurich Insurance is a leader in home, auto, and business insurance. Ask your insurance broker for a Zurich quote. We'll be there when you need us.
It took him a while to figure it out. There's no point looking for the important things in life on a map. So before he found that little hideaway at the end of an unmarked road, Brad found himself in an Explorer, the best-selling sport utility in Canada.
Kellogg's Rice Krispie Squares take no time at all.
Dad! Coming! Are the Rice Krispie Squares ready?
But no one else needs to know that.
Ready!
Kellogg's Rice Krispie Squares. It's so easy to be good.
Did you know that each Kellogg's Rice Krispie is made with a real grain of rice?
Yeah, I knew that.
I didn't know that. I mean, I didn't know that. Most people didn't know that.
For everyone who didn't know that Kellogg's Rice Krispies is made with real rice, what the heck did you think it was made with?
I don't know.
It takes patience and determination to find the right card. And when you do, you protect it and your other valuables with the right coverage from Zurich Insurance. We've been insuring Canadians since 1923. Today, Zurich Insurance is a leader in home, auto, and business insurance. Ask your insurance broker for a Zurich quote. We'll be there when you need us.
E&G.
He follows his instincts, and sometimes that gets him into some trouble.
The cop shot the guy because he was black. I mean, is that what you're trying to get me to say? Because that's not what happened.
E&G. CTV Thursday.
What killed this human being? The answer is one of us, and one of us could be next.
If you're going to be killed in a car accident, it'll probably happen on a country highway. But if you're going to be injured, the odds are it'll happen in the city, in broad daylight, and right here at an urban intersection.
Let's put you inside this car. You're moving towards a major intersection and you want to turn left. You can take this position, we'll call it position A, or position B. B is straight, A is angled.
Question 6. What is the correct position, A or B? The correct answer is B, and it's worth 5 points.
You can see better in both directions, and the turn can be made more safely. With position A, your wheels are turned into the traffic flow, and if you're struck from behind, you could be pushed into the oncoming traffic. The line shows the center of the roadway. In position A, you can see the driver's head is to the left of the line. Though the car is placed well over the line, there's a poor view of traffic. In position B, the driver has an excellent view of oncoming traffic without advancing the car any further across the line. You're going straight through this intersection.
Question 7. To proceed ahead safely into the intersection, where should you look first? To the right or to the left. Score 5 points if you said left.
Always look left, center, and right, because traffic on the left would hit you first. Cars that run lights and signs are the greatest single cause of collisions.
You know, it's remarkable how much we know about serious accidents. Most of them occur between 4 and 5 in the afternoon, more than any other time of the day. Well, that's rush hour. The fewest bad accidents are between 5 and 6 in the morning, and that's because there aren't many people on the road then. But whatever the time, we usually find someone else to blame, especially if we're the victims. In fact, though, even the victim of an accident will sometimes share the guilt.
Fashion model Wendy Murphy is sharing some guilt. 8 years ago, at age 19, Wendy's career was just beginning. Her career jarred to a halt one August long weekend in 1985. After 4 days on the beach with a large party, Wendy was returning to Toronto in a friend's van. The vehicle left the road, rolled, and Wendy's spinal cord was crushed.
I was asleep in the back of the van. There was myself, my best friend, and a friend of ours driving. Apparently, the driver had lost control. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, unfortunately, nor was my best friend, Grania. Unfortunately, she had passed away. I myself, I have some feeling, and I can crawl a little bit, but I don't feel that I'll walk in this lifetime. But I've adjusted.
Wendy managed to confront her physical challenges very well, but she still feels partly responsible for her injury and bears a powerful sense of loss.
I felt very guilty. I kept thinking, my God, there were so many things that I should have done or could have done. Why did we have to go that way, that route? Why did we go home in the van? Why did we even go? You know, the weekend didn't seem worth it. My mourning turned into envy, I guess you could say, in terms of her death. After being told that I was going to be confined to a wheelchair for the rest of my life, I envied her. I thought, my God, you know, this is hell. Still to this day in my car is the only time that I don't feel my physical disability at all. I don't feel challenged in any way because it's not visible to people. I pull up in my car beside someone and they look over at me and they don't know I'm in a wheelchair. Had we thought about seatbelts at the time, I know that this probably wouldn't be the situation today.
Some of these drivers are unbuckled, and odds are they're young. And no surprise, we have no national standards for instructing them.
Now, our roads are dangerously crowded, but cars themselves are safer. Daytime running lights, for instance, lights that come on when you start your car. One study found they reduced daytime head-on and side crashes by 28%. Airbags, next year 90% of all new cars will have driver's side airbags. Used with a seatbelt, an airbag can improve your chances of surviving a crash by 55%. But even more vulnerable than you is your child.
This child's facial injury was bad enough, but as her mother knows, it could have been far worse.
Fortunately, she was wearing her seatbelt. If she hadn't been wearing her seatbelt, she would have definitely been absolutely dead.
So if you think your child is safe in your arms, you're wrong. Car accidents are the leading killer of children in North America. Dr. David Smith runs the emergency ward at Children's Hospital in Vancouver.
Nobody likes to see an injured child, but you must see a lot of very tragic cases here.
We do. We fortunately see more cases that go on to full recovery, but it's sad to see a child whose injuries could have been prevented suffer a lifetime of deficits simply because they weren't wearing a lap belt or a proper automobile belt restraint.
Hi, Peggy.
The British Columbia Automobile Association runs this free monthly inspection clinic of infant and child car seats. Patty Backus works for the association.
Patty, you've seen a lot of parents, a lot of little people, and a lot of car seats. Is there a real problem here?
There's definitely a real problem. We're still seeing a lot of people who aren't using safety seats at all for their children. And of those who are using them, a large percentage of those have some real serious errors that they're using, either in the installation of the seat or the actual usage itself.
And how high is that percentage?
Well, the seats that we check that come to our inspections, we see that over 80% of them have some kind of an error in either the way they put the seat in or the way they buckled it up.
Question 8. An infant should always be facing to the rear in an infant carrier. True or false? It's true. Take 3 points.
This lab footage shows why. In a severe collision, the baby would be thrown into the padded side of the seat and not against a hard surface.
Will be somehow firm.
From the time you bring your baby home until it reaches a weight of 9 kilograms, this is the kind of carrier you should use. And don't swaddle your infant in blankets. The harness won't fit right. An older child's seat, on the other hand, should face forward. 90% of child deaths in car crashes could have been avoided with the proper restraints.
No, just here, like you want a little bit of leeway here, a couple of fingers.
Now here's a signal that seems clear. They want you to stop, don't they? We followed this bus along its route. Violations of the school bus stop warning were routine. Some people do slow down, but others rocket through. A child darting out could easily result in a death. Certainly makes you wonder what they have to do. Maybe artillery. Next, the competition for space on our roads.
Every time we get behind the wheel of an automobile, driving safety is the #1 responsibility. At Ford, we are proud of our accomplishments in safety technology, as we are a leader in offering anti-lock brakes and dual airbags in our vehicles. Today, Ford is making it easier for you to buy as well. The new CIBC Ford Visa card turns your purchases into savings on a new Ford, Mercury, or Lincoln vehicle. On behalf of Ford of Canada, drive safely and enjoy the show.
Seems like some boys just don't know how to play nice.
So you wanna play tough?
Introducing the bold new 1993 Ford Ranger.
You say you wanna play mean? Well, if you're gonna play tough, you need the right machine.
With its brand new body, Ranger's just not playing fair.
Wanna play tough? Best ever rest. You got a new machine.
Ranger, the best-selling compact pickup in Canada.
When you drive, you're careful to protect yourself and the ones you love. That's why complete auto insurance coverage from Zurich Insurance is so important. We've been insuring Canadians since 1923. Today, Zurich Insurance is a leader in home, auto, and business insurance. Ask your insurance broker for a Zurich quote. We'll be there when you need us.
There's only one thing is cool and refreshing. His new sugar-free Wrigley Spearmint Gum. It's way cooler than that. Nice try. But no, the one thing is cool and refreshing is sugar-free Wrigley Spearmint Gum. Is regular Wrigley Spearmint Gum.
Now in cool and refreshing sugar-free.
Welcome back to the battleground.
Motorists haven't got a clue about cyclists. I don't know why they put rearview mirrors and side mirrors on cars, because they don't get used.
The thing that ticks me off the most about cyclists, you can't see them.
Why do they put signal lights, turn signals on cars? They don't get used. The car doors get used a lot.
This sense of rivalry infuses our streets. Our thoroughfares are a boiling kettle, and the steam they produce is conflict. What's at a premium is space. There's always someone else in the space you want yourself. Imagine yourself in this situation, and this happens.
Question 9. How would you react? Would you let the other driver know you were angry, or would you take it in stride? A gets no points. B gets 5.
Because anger and revenge are major causes of collisions.
We all know that feeling, a flood of adrenaline, a surge of anger. Well, in Canada, feelings like that cause hundreds of thousands of people days in hospital every year. And as more and more cars clog our roads, those numbers could get worse.
Competition. Two drivers aiming for a single point in space and time. It spells danger. We're now going to let you experience two types of driving behavior from behind the wheel.
Question 10. Which of these two drivers is most like you?
Be honest now. In fact, you might want to let your partner do the rating on this one. Here's driver number 1, staying in the same lane, maintaining the same speed. Is that too laid back for you? If it is, maybe you're more like driver number 2. The traffic's too slow and you're burning to get ahead.
Take 5 points for A, nothing for B.
It's the relaxed driver who has a better chance of getting home alive. Dr. Gerald Wild is one of Canada's foremost experts in driver behavior.
You've said in the past that there are two kinds of drivers on the road. Can you describe them?
Well, we know a lot about of their characteristics. The road hogger is typically male, young, type A personality, has some antisocial or asocial motivation. People drive as they live. And that same thing holds in a different way for the road sharers.
Road hogs may not understand the idiosyncrasies of the pack. They may not have learned the art of anticipation. Our new drivers take the wheel. You do the same. It's your test, too. That white car on the right, is it going to stop? Always suspect the worst. And this one with the turn signal on. The driver seems uncertain. He might back up. That car blocking your lane up ahead. Signal your lane change to get around it. But good driving is more than reacting to events, it's anticipating them. Can you? There's a car creeping in on your left, and it appears to be putting you in its blind spot.
Question 11. Should you speed up, slow down, or maintain speed? Score 5 points for B.
Slow down and get out of that blind spot. 13% of accidents involve lane changing. Blind spots are high-risk positions, so make yourself visible. That car on your left is obscuring a hazard.
Question 12. Covering the brake in this situation is the best defensive response. True or false? True. Score 4 points.
Cover the brake and slow down. Honk the horn to get eye-to-eye contact if necessary. Watch corners that are coming up. They can produce surprises. There's a surprise now off to the right. Two pedestrians are approaching the curb.
Question 13. The best response here is to honk your horn. True or false? True is the answer, and if you thought so, score 4.
Honking will get their attention. The driver behind you is tailgating and signals with lights that he'd like to pass.
Question 14. Should you slow down to make him go by, flash your brake lights to warn him, or change lanes? If you change lanes, score 5 points.
It's safest to move over. The driver may be on urgent business. When you're stopping in traffic, it's important to leave enough room ahead. But how much room?
Question 15. You're safely stopped in traffic when you can just see the tires of the car ahead. True or false? If you said false, take 5 points.
More space provides an escape route. As the van approaches, the blue car can move away and avoid a crash.
Here's a handy rule that'll help you avoid ramming the car in front of you. It's called the 2-second following rule, and it works like this. When the car ahead passes a pole or mark on the road, you should be at least 2 seconds behind the mark.
1001, 1002.
Question 16. Are you too close? Yes. Score 5 points.
Of all the information we receive when we're driving, some of the most important comes in these familiar shapes and colors. On this highway, the last sign you see is this one, the hidden intersection sign. Now, we already know that drivers have trouble recognizing certain hazards. What we want to find out here is just how well people grasp the warnings that are designed and put up to signal those hazards.
What's the last sign that you remember seeing?
The last sign? The highway number.
I can't recall it, no.
The school zone, speed limit.
Last sign I saw was sign saying 60 kilometers.
Of 82 drivers, 1 got the answer right, and that's not all.
What's the speed limit along here?
80. 50.
60.
Well, 60 is right.
Which sign on the road do you remember the most?
Well, the speed limit.
The 80 kilometers.
Maybe the school crossing. Nothing in particular.
Well, if we're not noticing what's outside our cars, the reason may be all the hardware we now install inside. Glenn Konorowski writes about cars.
The fast-paced business economy has brought the office to the car. You can get fax machines, computers, copiers, you name it, you can get it. No office is complete without a desk. Of course, with a desk, you need a filing cabinet. This one kind of clips on the front of this desk. And you need a computer with every desk. This one's got fax, modem, you name it. Of course, you need a printer. This one kind of fits right in here, small, tiny, compact. Then you need power for all this stuff. Of course, the computer takes 110. Then all the 12-volt items, you need this multi-plug unit. They kind of fit down here in the front. Some people drive like real maniacs to save their 90-cent coffee. This is a neat little gadget that mounts right up here. Save your coffee, save you too. Of course, in our case, we have our own drip coffee maker. Fits right up here. Since you've got all these distractions, you need some protection from the law. This is where the radar detector comes in. Just clips up here on the dash, and your laser detector clips right up here. Then you gotta plug these in. Of course, you gotta remember these are highly illegal in some provinces, and you're protected. You get just about everything. Now, if you're a real workaholic, I got something for the man who's got everything. It's the folding desk. Flips right here on the steering wheel, and you pull it down, and you're ready for work. Oh, hang on. Fax is coming in. Telephone. Dialing. Yeah?
Question 17. Do you dial a telephone in your car while you're driving? Yes or no? If you don't, or if you have no phone, score 2 points.
Well, it's an obvious distraction, and most people can't handle more than one thing at a time. Next, how to protect yourself from a head-on collision.
Hello, I'm Harry Saunders, President of Zurich Insurance. I'm sure you would agree that smart driving makes the road safer for everyone and saves lives. I hope that you enjoy the National Driving Test and will benefit from it. Thank you.
It takes patience and determination to find the right card. And when you do, you protect it and your other valuables with the right coverage from Zurich Insurance. We've been insuring Canadians since 1923. Today, Zurich Insurance is a leader in home, auto, and business insurance. Ask your insurance broker for a Zurich quote. We'll be there when you need us.
We started with this piece of sculpture, gave it 24-valve V6 performance, and ended up with this piece of sculpture. The 1993 Motor Trend Car of the Year, Ford Probe GT.
A noble warrior advised, the art of protection springs from within. One must stay vigilant against one's unfragrant perspiration, lest one provoke a hostile response. Thus, a Norse ritual is Right Guard Sport Stick. An aromatic array of the freshest scents and unyielding wetness protection. Confirming the wisdom, the best defense is not to offend. Right Guard Sport Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
Our world is changing. For more and more Canadians, there is only one place to turn. CTV News. Well underway to a new life.
Making up laws and regulations.
Greg over CTV News.
For all of us here at CTV News.
Now, the most watched newscast in Canada.
Good evening. I'm Lloyd Robertson.
CTV News, making your world make sense.
Traffic meets the laws of physics. Somebody skids out of control and bingo. Although they're irritating, at least you can walk away from a fender bender.
The ultimate driving nightmare is the head-on collision. Remember, you don't have to be doing anything wrong to be involved in one, but you can learn to do something right.
Any driving situation can produce a sudden, terrifying challenge. Every year, 20,000 Canadians meet death or injury in cars traveling straight ahead.
Question 18. What's the proper response? Brake and steer out of the way, or maintain your speed and steer out of the way? It's B. Score 5 points.
Steer smoothly onto the gravel shoulder. Leave the left 2 tires on the pavement and maintain a steady speed. Keep your eyes well ahead on the edge of the road. Braking could cause you to lose control. It's a panic reaction. Now here's another quick reaction situation. This time you're on a city street.
Question 19. Should you slam on the brakes or brake and steer into the garbage? 5 points if you answered B.
You should brake and avoid because there's no easy escape. Head for the softest spot to minimize damage or injury. The new drivers of today must master braking technology, which is much more complex than it was just a few years ago. All of us need training and practice. With ordinary brakes, you shouldn't lock the wheels like this.
Stop.
Note the stop line.
It's important during any emergency situation that you be seated in the proper position.
This car has ABS, anti-lock braking, providing maximum stopping power without locking the wheels. Many drivers with ABS have no idea how to use it. They tend to brake too gently because of the unfamiliar pulsing of the pedal. Our new driver is no exception. That's his first try with ABS.
In order to activate the ABS, you have to get on the brake very, very hard and fast, and you press as hard as you can.
Now, with ABS training, he'll reduce his stopping distance over 20%.
Stop fast, harder, 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 harder. Beautiful.
Transport Canada has studied anti-lock braking from the human angle. Brian Grant.
The result was that those who had experienced the anti-lock brakes, who had actually experienced the benefits of anti-lock brakes, actually drove faster, decelerated faster. We're driving essentially less cautiously than would have been expected.
The anti-lock braking system then is an effective way to stop a car, but are people reacting to it in an unsafe way?
Drivers don't necessarily take advantage of that safety benefit. They use it up.
The essential lesson for us here is that we should practice ABS braking in a safe place to overcome our fear or ignorance. No matter how carefully you drive, black ice could throw you into a skid. Will you know what to do? Let's see on this skid pad.
Question 20. Should you brake, steer and shift into neutral, or just steer? 5 points for B.
If you want to avoid spinning out, you should steer in the direction of the skid and shift into neutral. In a skid, the drive wheels are either too fast or too slow for the road surface. They'll only regain their proper speed by putting the car in neutral. Now back to the war zone, where you should always expect the worst, because it's sometimes what you get. You're entering a freeway in a line of cars, and the car ahead of you begins to stop.
We got nowhere to go.
Question 21. Should you drive around him or wait until he clears the lane? If you said B, take 3 points.
But to avoid being in that position, Young Drivers of Canada recommends a 4-second following distance on entrance ramps. It'll give you enough time to drive around the car ahead of you and merge safely with traffic. These lines of cars may seem predictable, but any lane can become a trap. Now we're looking at some typical freeway problems. There are cars on your right, cars on your left. You're moving with the traffic, keeping to your lane.
Question 22. Is your vehicle in a safe driving position? Yes or no? B is right, and good for 5 points.
You were driving in the blind spot of both drivers. You have no escape if a hazard appears. Plan your escape. Sometimes it's the shoulder. Young drivers recommend staggering cars. The concept is simple. Drive beside space. Adjust your speed to create it. When you're staggered, you can avoid obstacles easily. Now you're driving with traffic over the posted speed limit.
Question 23. Should you slow down or go with the flow of traffic? It's B. Score 2 points.
Yes, it's illegal, but it's best not to anger other drivers by slowing down. Move over as soon as possible.
Still, driving above the posted speed limit is always illegal. The rules are open to interpretations, shall we say. Whether or not you get a ticket will probably depend on something other than your speed.
Most people don't travel at 100 kilometers an hour. If the traffic gets flowing at 120 kilometers, speed limit's 100 kilometers, people are going to be moving fairly quickly, and in order for traffic to keep moving, obviously they're going to have to travel in excess of the speed limit at that point in time.
When you get a bunch of vehicles traveling at the same rate of speed together, what we're looking for is the aggressive driver, the one that is weaving in and out, the one that's traveling the fastest. That's the one we determine would get the ticket.
Now it's time to leave the freeway.
Question 24. Should you slow down on the freeway or in the exit lane? Score 3 if you picked B.
Get out of the main flow before you slow down. This driver ahead of you should be taking this test. Driving mistakes cost lives. 85% of collisions are due to driver error. And now you're home.
Question 25. It's a good defensive driving practice to back your car into the driveway. True or false? True. Score 5.
Many children are killed by drivers blindly backing out of driveways. Driving out frontwards, your view of the road is better, and so entering traffic is safer too.
Now for your opinion. We're going to ask you to vote by phone. Should a driver's license be an open ticket? A national telepoll next.
When you drive, you're careful to protect yourself and the ones you love. That's why complete auto insurance coverage from Zurich Insurance is so important. We've been insuring Canadians since 1923. Today, Zurich Insurance is a leader in home, auto, and business insurance. Ask your insurance broker for a Zurich quote. We'll be there when you need us.
Our main objective when we designed our new front-wheel drive minivan with standard anti-lock brakes was to make certain that it was the only car in its class. Period. Introducing the 1993 Villager. Quality is job one. It's working.
Cheese, please.
Isn't it nice, oh isn't it nice to have a taste for life?
Cheese, please.
If this crash could be recreated, its victims could discover what each of them had contributed to the disaster. Accidents are like textbooks. If you know how to read them, you may be able to avoid a similar end.
We're going to revisit the accident you saw at the beginning of this program. Let's see if we can discover in the anatomy of that crash what driver skills were missing.
She's wandering in her lane, evidence that her mind is not on the road. The signs of her preoccupation are obvious. Her driving is erratic. She doesn't signal her intentions. She cuts far too close to other cars. The young man is almost totally absorbed in his music. He's not in control. The camper's lane change was almost complete before the driver signaled. He's not paying attention and clearly doesn't know where he's going. Now the woman is tailgating. The camper should pull out of her way and let her pass.
Come on, move it.
Suddenly, a hazard. He overcorrects. And at this exact moment, the woman has pulled out to pass without checking her blind spot. She heads straight into his path. The young man escapes with a dented car, but a series of avoidable errors has led to death. Can we rewrite our laws so that this ambulance need not arrive?
All new drivers, young or old, pose risks to the rest of us. Tests in Britain and the United States show that a relative inability to detect hazards is common to the novice driver. It makes sense then that we should ease these drivers onto the road in stages, and that's what we call graduated licensing.
Graduated licensing is not a penalty for being young. In jurisdictions from Australia to the United States, they already use various systems that require novice drivers to begin with limited driving privileges and then advance by stages.
Now, several Canadian provinces are considering similar graduated licensing systems, and Nova Scotia is leading the pack. Their system will involve 2 levels of learner permits. The basic permit runs for 6 months. If you take a driver education course, they'll cut that to 3 months. Blood alcohol content must be 0. After the learner permit, the next level is newly licensed driver, and that lasts for 2 years. One of its exclusions forbids driving between midnight and 6 a.m. unless accompanied by an experienced driver.
Now, inexperience isn't the only problem. Many young people suffer a condition known as night myopia, which makes it difficult to see properly at night. Dr. Tom Fayer.
If you do have night myopia, then during the day you'll see beautifully, and at nighttime your vision will drop, and it can drop significantly.
Basically, to me, everything is very blurred. It's very hard to make out distinctions between things in my environment as I drive. For example, it's really hard to distinguish the median on the road or the curb, where the road ends, where the gravel or the ditch starts.
Night myopia feels like this. The glare of oncoming headlights will hurt your eyes. A pinpoint of light will feel like a starburst. You can't read signs that you can read easily in daylight. Objects by the side of the road, like cars or poles, even people, may be hard to see. In a recent study, 38% of people under 25 had night myopia.
Well, I know in one case I was once driving home quite late at night and realized there was very little traffic around. The streets were quite deserted. It was on a country road, and then realized after about 5 minutes of driving that I had been driving in the incorrect lane. Noticing that I had absolutely no conceptualization of where the road exactly started and ended on either side of me.
It's not proposed for graduated licensing now, but someday our lawmakers may make this a routine test for young drivers. Night myopia is easily corrected with special glasses.
Shows that you have 1 diopter for myopia.
The difference was absolutely amazing. It was in fact somewhat shocking for me to really realize how poorly I had in fact been seeing at nighttime compared with how well I could see with these. It was something as simple as a stronger eyeglass prescription.
Another tack that we can take is to is to start testing all young drivers before they go for their test for night myopia. And it's a relatively simple test that can be done by a technician, and it can be corrected quite easily if it's found.
Another danger that hits young drivers harder than adults is alcohol. Traffic injury researcher Herb Simpson.
We know that it takes only a small amount of alcohol to seriously impair young drivers. So part of graduated licensing is to put stricter requirements on the newly licensed driver, and that is that there will be a zero tolerance for alcohol, absolutely no driving after the new driver's been drinking. And this is particularly important for that one class of new drivers, the young new driver.
Jason Bouchard and Mark Donner have arrived in this classroom on a painful errand to describe what happened when they mixed alcohol and cars.
Hi, my name is Jason Bouchard. I went to court. I pled guilty to dangerous, causing bodily harm, and over .8. I was sentenced to 5 months on each charge. They ran concurrent, so I spent 5 months in jail because I was drinking and driving.
My name is Mark Donner, and I made a decision once that changed my life too. We went out and got sloshed one night and decided to drive home. A decision that cost my friend Jake his life.
This is the collision Mark is talking about. His friend Jake is somewhere in that mess. You already know Mark survived, but he paid a heavy price.
I'm still alive. But life certainly is different. Now for something I don't really like to talk about, the mental part. I know if I were to come up myself and begin a conversation with myself, I'd think I was stupid. Not just because I'd be talking to myself, but the way I talk. So I try and avoid talking to people, which makes it incredibly difficult to meet new people. Girls. I was no Casanova or even a Sam Malone before the accident. But now, I'm brain damaged. Yes?
This is for both of you. I just wanted to know, did you go through a period of depression, and how long did it last, you know?
I still haven't cried for Jake's death. I wish I could. God, I wish I could. They say that your emotions get all screwed up when you injure your brain. I know I feel like crying every time I think about it. And I think about it a lot. Please, please, don't ever drink and drive. Thank you for listening.
One of the things that we've often done is suggested to parents that what would they do if they found out that there was something that was responsible for half of the deaths to all the teenagers in Canada. What would they demand? The first thing they would demand is tremendous government action and attention to the problem. Well, in fact, there is something that is responsible for half the deaths to the teens in this country, and it's road crashes. And when parents hear that, their reaction is that, well, perhaps there should be some form of immunization or inoculation against this dreaded problem. And that's how we see graduated licensing. It's a form of immunization to allow new drivers the opportunity to gain that much-needed experience under low-risk conditions.
We'd like you to decide about graduated licensing in your province. How tough do you want it to be? We're going to describe 3 options, and we want you to choose one and phone the number beside it to register your vote. Your decision will be broadcast on the CTV National News tonight and sent to provincial transport ministers tomorrow.
Here's how the first option works. Newly licensed drivers would be classified as new for a period of up to 2 years and given an advanced course or test during that time. They would not be permitted to carry passengers unless one in the front seat has been licensed for at least 4 years. They would not be allowed to have any blood alcohol content while driving. The second option has all the restrictions in option 1, plus No driving would be permitted between midnight and 5 a.m. with employment exemptions. The third option has all the restrictions in options 1 and 2, plus drivers would be restricted to roads and highways with a speed limit of 90 kilometers an hour. If you don't believe there should be any graduated licensing, there'll be another number to call. Here are the phone numbers. Call the 900 number beside your choice. There's a 50-cent charge. Option 1 is the basic plan. Option 2 is the basic plan plus an overnight restriction. And option 3 is the basic plan plus both the overnight and the road restriction. The last number is a vote for no graduated licensing system. Please call now or any time tonight and send a message to the Transport Ministry in your province.
All right, now let's get back to your personal score. If you've got it totaled, we'll be right back to tell you what it means.
Take a moment to compare the 93 Ford Taurus GL sedan and wagon to the imports. The Taurus comes well equipped with over 24 standard features including air, power windows, and available anti-lock brakes. You'll also discover not just one, but 2 airbags. The price? Thousands less than the imports. Wagon or sedan, just $19,995. No wonder Taurus is the best-selling car in North America.
Quality is job one. It's working.
It takes patience and determination to find the right card. And when you do, you protect it and your other valuables with the right coverage from Zurich Insurance. We've been insuring Canadians since 1923. Today, Zurich Insurance is a leader in home, auto, and business insurance. Ask your insurance broker for a Zurich quote. We'll be there when you need us.
Taking the family on a vacation? Here's an idea. Take along a new CIBC Ford Visa card, and when you pay for the tickets, and the food, and the hotel, and everything else, 5% will go towards the purchase or lease of a new Ford, Lincoln, or Mercury. You could earn a rebate of up to $700 per year, or $3,500 over 5 years, faster than any other basic auto rebate card. The new CIBC Ford Visa, the card that puts you in the driver's seat.
Organized crime is out of control, and the police are obsolete.
We had a deal, damn it.
But thanks to this jet-set strike force, the war on crime just got a lot more exciting. Counter-Strike, CTV Saturday.
The National Driving Test is brought to you by Ford of Canada. Quality is job one. It's working. And by Zurich of Canada. We'll be there when you need us.
Now, if you've added up your scores from the National Driving Test, here's how to assess your defensive driving competence.
The average score was 74 out of 100. Experienced drivers were ahead, earning 77 points on average, compared with 72 for the inexperienced. That's about what our 2 volunteers scored. So if your total was over 74, you're an above-average driver. Between 60 and 74, you may well be a threat to those around you on the road. Below 60, and you should sign up for help.
If we've got a pitch to make tonight, it's this. Graduated licensing is an idea whose time has come. This is not a conspiracy against the young, or if it ever gets that far, against the old. It's just a recognition that driving a car, as we said in the beginning, is more than knowing how to steer. We must train people to become defensive drivers, and we can test them for those skills. And that's exactly what we should be doing. That is a conspiracy against a certain kind of senseless, tragic, and unnecessary death. I'm Jack McGaugh. Good night.
Special thanks to Young Drivers of Canada for allowing us to present many of the educational concepts they have developed exclusively for driver training in Canada and throughout the world.
Tomorrow, start your day the right way. Join Keith Morrison and Valerie Pringle for Canada AM. And Shirley Solomon talks to women who are over 40 and pregnant. Tune in tomorrow for CTV Shirley.
This program may not be reproduced, copied, or exhibited without the written consent of the producers.